Hi there. Eric and I are just thrilled to be here this afternoon to share our thoughts with you. So, to my mind, incubation is the critical part of the creative process, no matter where it occurs. It can be in a classroom, a laboratory, or in our case, studio to stage. You know, in getting ready for this talk, I did what many of us do. I Googled the word incubation. Well, I was expecting to read about things like chickens and their eggs and the like, but instead, and maybe because of the times that we live in, all of the references were to diseases. And I thought, there's no help for me there. But I did reconsider. After all, we are all carriers of both bacteria and brilliant ideas. Yeah, we are. And they both require a certain amount of time and ideal conditions before they manifest. As composers and choreographers, we spend much time incubating our work, from the spark of an idea to a fully formed composition. We undertake a journey that is determined by both conscious and unconscious forces that are best revealed through set limitations. Choreographer B.B. Miller speaks of the magic of the studio, and I believe that magic is the evolution of an idea from incubation to manifestation.
Hi, everyone. We're really glad you're here to share with us the experience of the premiere of a new piece of music and some new choreography to go along with that music. The composer's primary role is to express something in music. In most popular music today, there's text, and oftentimes that text has its own sentiment and mood, and the role of music is to augment that sentiment and mood. But a lot of music that has no text is on its own to express whatever it wants to express. And the composer just makes a design that he hopes the listener can comprehend and appreciate. And this is one of the reasons that I have always been intrigued with dance, because dance is another form of expression that accomplishes its goals without words. So the music that I wrote for today really has no use, except that Lynn and I agreed ahead of time that she would use this music to create some dance. My part of this project is to explain a little bit about what might go into creating a new piece of music. The piece I chose to write for today is a piece for solo clarinet, because it's easily transportable, obviously. Can't get a marching band in here. Okay? And I'm happy to introduce Deanna Surcott, a graduate student at Cleveland State University, majoring in performance.
So I'd like to tell you about the starting point of my journey here. I started dancing because I don't really like to talk, particularly in front of people I don't know. I'm serious. So when I was 4 years old, my mother sent me to a dance class because I was extremely shy. And the teacher told her that although I seemed to really love to dance, I was not good at it. Very clear. So fast forward, I rediscovered the language of dance as a teenager. And you know what? It really was magic. Because through it, I could express my inner thoughts and feelings without having to say a word. So Eric and I thought you'd be interested to hear and see the process of our music and dance conversation.
You all know the television cooking show called Chopped? Well, this is a show where chefs are given a bag of ingredients and they have to fashion a new dish out of those ingredients. Well, music composition is a little bit like that. The composer has to find some material and then use that material to create a piece of music. So how do I use that material to shape a new piece? I have to study it carefully because some of it's going to be okay and some will work and some won't. And to use a cooking analogy here, I know that onions probably wouldn't taste very good on my Cheerios. Okay? Now, in order to connect this new piece to our local audience here in Cleveland, I decided to base this piece on the 3 telephone area codes that are in Northeast Ohio, 216, 440, and 330. Okay? Now, some of you probably have never thought about what 216 sounds like. Okay? So we're going to demonstrate this. Using a reference pitch, in this case the lowest note on the clarinet, and expressed as the number of half steps above that pitch, 216 sounds like this. Not very much to work with, huh? But if I transpose that and I repeat it, and I put it in different registers of the clarinet, it might sound like this. Okay, now we're beginning to get somewhere. Now, if the chef decides to take those onions that I don't use on my Cheerios, and if I treat 216 as my onion, okay, that onion might be minced. It might be sliced. It might be dipped in batter and deep fried. It might be pureed and made into a paste. It could be ground and made into a powder. All still onions and all unique, but still related, sort of like musical siblings. Now, let's go on to 440 and 330. You know that each of those has a repeated number, so they're going to have a repeated pitch. 440 sounds like this. 330 sounds like this, a little bit darker. Brighter? Darker. Now, just for fun, if I ask Deanna to play 4440 followed by 3330 a step lower, it sounds like this. I can't use that because some other composer did, okay? So, using the 3 area codes as the basis for this new piece, okay, how did I create this new piece? Well, I'm not sure that that's a really important question for a listener, because when you taste a dish, you're really interested in savoring the experience of the whole thing. You don't care whether those ingredients are local or imported. You don't care how long it took to cook. You don't care what seasonings the chef used. You're just there to experience the dish. So in a few minutes, you're going to experience my new dish. And now that you know some of what went into it, I'm expecting that you'll be able to follow the logic of this new piece and hear some of the material that's in it. And that may help you listen to all sorts of music down the road. My main point here is that composing is like any other kind of investigation and inquiry. I have to ask myself all sorts of questions. What are the possibilities? What are the limitations? How does it work?
So just like Eric's music, in approaching choreography, the limitations I set become the recipe for my movement language. I take my ingredients and I tear them apart and I manipulate them and I mold them into forms that become new movements of different tastes and textures. Just like the chefs on Chopped, you and I might have the exact same ingredients, but we filter them through the lenses of our own very different experiences. So, for instance, let me show you several versions of a gesture. Someone share a gesture with me. Please. Oh, look. Thank you. Thank you. So a wave. A wave is a metaphor. And movement, my movement, for the most part, is a metaphor. Yeah? So a wave. And from my experience, I can change it. It can be longing, hello or goodbye. It can be resistive or tentative. I can embellish it to take me into new places. I can put it in a different place. It can be dramatic, or it can be light. But all the time, it comes from the same movement seed. So I chose 3 movement seeds in response to Eric's music recipe, using the words process, progress, and production. And in order to translate them into movement explorations, I identified process as a route or a pathway, progress, making headway, and production as assembling and gathering. And you know, it's at this point in the process that I just have to surrender myself to the exploration and not try to shape a finished dish. I have to trust the tools and techniques that move me forward in the incubation period. You know, Carl Sagan really wisely said, "It pays to keep an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out." It's great, and it really speaks to me about the willingness to truly investigate an idea, but in doing it, to set really clear parameters on it. You know, because I think that's when you really discover, and that maybe that's really when true creativity happens. So now you're going to see the result of our incubation process in a short work titled Codes that is being performed for the first time by Deanna and dancer Sarah Carey. And you know, what we really wish is that it resonates with you beyond our words.